The morning sun cast long shadows across the Kepler 442b mining colony as 8-year-old Minho pressed his nose against the kitchen window. The alien world beyond the glass looked peaceful enough with its purple grass and twin moons still visible in the pale sky. But something was wrong. Very wrong. "Dad, where are all the mining robots?" Minho asked, his breath fogging the reinforced window. Ji-won looked up from his research tablet, worry lines creasing his face. As the colony's xenobiologist, he had spent 3 years studying this planet's unique ecosystem. In all that time, he had never seen the automated mining equipment simply vanish overnight. "I don't know, son, but we'll figure it out." The comm system crackled to life, filling their small habitat with the voice of Security Chief Do-Yun. "All colonists report. To the main hall immediately. Emergency meeting in 10 minutes. Minho grabbed his father's hand as they walked through the colony's central corridor. Other families emerged from their homes, faces tight with concern. The colony housed only 200 people, mostly miners and their families, along with a small scientific team. Everyone knew everyone else, which made the recent disappearances even more frightening. The main hall buzzed with nervous conversation. Colonial Administrator Sunmi stood at the front, her usually calm demeanor cracked with stress. Beside her, Do-Hyun pulled up holographic displays showing the colony's perimeter. "In the past week, we've lost 12 mining robots, 4 cargo haulers, and 6 livestock," Sunmi announced. "The perimeter sensors show no signs of forced entry. No explosions, no obvious damage. The equipment simply vanishes." An older miner named Boksu raised his hand. "What about the claw marks near Sector 7? Those weren't made by our equipment." Do-Hyun nodded grimly. "We found similar marks at 3 other sites. Each one is roughly 2 meters long and cuts through, reinforced steel like paper. Whatever made them is big, strong, and smart enough to avoid our sensors." Minho felt his father's hand tighten around his. Ji-won leaned forward in his seat. "Have you considered that we might be dealing with an intelligent species? Something that's trying to communicate? Communicate by stealing our equipment?" Sunmi's voice rose. "Ji-won, I respect your scientific approach, but we have families to protect. These disappearances are escalating." "She's right," said Hyeri, the colony's other xenobiologist. "The pattern suggests deliberate action. Whatever this is, it's studying us." The room fell silent. The weight of that possibility settled over everyone like a heavy blanket. They were the only human presence on this world, light years from the nearest backup. Sunmi straightened her shoulders. "I've made a decision. We're hiring external security, professional hunters who specialize in dangerous alien species." "Hunters?" Ji-won stood up. "You mean mercenaries? Sunmi, if this is a first contact situation, bringing in weapons could be catastrophic." "Better catastrophic than dead," Do-Hyun muttered. 2 days later, the transport ship Valkyrie descended through Kepler 442b's atmosphere. Minho watched from the landing pad as the sleek vessel touched down, its engines creating small dust storms in the purple grass. The ship's hull bore scorch marks and patched holes that spoke of countless battles across the galaxy. The airlock hissed open, and 2 figures emerged. The first was a tall woman with silver hair pulled back in a tight braid. Her body armor was black and functional, covered in weapon holsters and sensor equipment. She moved with the fluid grace of someone who had spent years in dangerous places. The second figure was shorter but broader, his muscular frame encased in similar armor. His face bore a network of scars, and his eyes constantly scanned the area, as if expecting attack from any direction. "I'm Kira," the woman announced to the welcoming committee. "This is my partner Taemin. We understand you have a pest problem." Sunmi stepped forward. "Thank you for coming. We've prepared quarters for you and briefing materials on the situation." Kira's gaze swept the colony's modest buildings. "Nice place. Shame about the demon." "Demon?" Ji-won frowned. "We don't know what we're dealing with yet." "Trust me, Doctor," Kira said, checking a device on her wrist. "I've been hunting dangerous species for 15 years. When something can slice through military-grade steel and avoid every sensor you have, You're dealing with a Class X predator. We call them demons because they might as well be supernatural. Taman nodded silently, his hand never leaving his weapon. Demons adapt, they learn, they hunt. That evening, Minho sat with his father in their small garden dome, watching the sunset paint the sky in shades of orange and purple. The alien world's beauty never failed to amaze him, but tonight it felt different. Threatening. Dad, what if the hunters are wrong? What if whatever's out there isn't mean? Jiwon looked at his son, remembering his own childhood wonder at the universe's mysteries. Sometimes, Minho, the most dangerous thing about the unknown is how we choose to approach it. Fear makes us see enemies where there might be friends. But what if there really is a monster? Then we'll deal with it. But first, we should try to understand it. As night fell, the colony's lights created a small bubble of safety in the vast darkness. Automated sentries powered up, their sensors sweeping the perimeter. In the security center, Do-hyun monitored dozens of camera feeds while Kira and Taman prepared their equipment. The hunters had brought an impressive arsenal. Energy weapons that could punch through starship hulls, traps that could hold a charging rhinoceros, sensors that could track a whisper in a thunderstorm, everything they needed to kill something that had never been seen clearly. Minho lay in his bed, listening to the sounds of the alien night. Wind whistled through the strange rock formations beyond the colony. In the distance, something that might have been an animal called out in a voice like music. The planet was alive with mysteries, and somewhere in that darkness, something was watching them. He closed his eyes and tried to sleep, unaware that in the forest beyond the colony's walls, glowing eyes had fixed on the small bubble of human light. The Watcher had learned much about these strange new creatures in the past week. Their tools were interesting. Their behavior was puzzling. And tonight, for the first time, it would test just how dangerous they truly were. The hunt was about to begin. The first attack came at 3 in the morning. Minho jolted awake as emergency sirens wailed across the colony. Red warning lights flashed through his bedroom window, painting everything in hellish colors. His father burst through the door, already dressed and carrying an emergency pack. "Stay close to me," Jiwon said, pulling his son toward the hallway. "We need to get to the shelter." Outside, colonists ran toward the central bunker while security teams rushed to the perimeter. Do-hyun's voice boomed over the comm system. "All civilians to emergency stations. Security teams to sectors 4 and 7. Whatever you do, do not approach the outer fence." In the security center, Kira and Taman studied the sensor readings with professional calm. The perimeter cameras had captured shadows moving between the mining equipment, but nothing clear enough to identify. Then the feeds had gone dead, one by one. "Classic hunting behavior," Kira observed, adjusting her weapon's power settings. "It's testing our defenses, learning our response patterns." Taman pointed to the motion sensors. "Look at this. It moved in a perfect circle around the colony. Stayed just outside sensor range except when it wanted to be detected." "Intelligence," Kira nodded. "High intelligence. This thing is mapping us." By dawn, they found the evidence. 3 security guards had vanished from their posts without a trace, no blood, no signs of struggle, no equipment left behind. But the reinforced steel of the outer fence bore new claw marks, each one deeper than the last. Sunmi gathered the colony leadership in the administrative office. Dark circles under her eyes showed the strain of the past few days. "We can't continue like this. People are terrified. Some families want to leave on the next transport." "Maybe they should," Jiwon said quietly. "If this is an intelligent species, we might be violating their territory. The ethical thing would be to relocate." Kira laughed, but there was no humor in it. "Doctor, you still think this is about ethics? I've tracked Class X predators across 12 systems. They don't want to coexist, they want to eliminate competition." "You don't know that," Hieri protested. "We haven't even attempted communication." "Because you can't communicate with something that hunts for sport," Taman spoke for the first time that morning. His voice was rough, scarred by years of violence. "I've seen what demons do to colonies. Bodies torn apart, children taken, entire settlements turned into feeding grounds." The room fell silent. Minho, who had been sitting quietly beside his father, felt a chill run down his spine. These hunters spoke of terrible things with such casual certainty. That afternoon, Kira and Taemin deployed their first serious trap. They positioned energy mines around the perimeter and set up a network of advanced sensors that could track movement down to the molecular level. Their weapons hummed with barely contained power. "It'll come back tonight," Kira predicted. "They always do. Gets more confident each time until it makes a mistake." As evening approached, Minho found himself drawn to the colony's small observation deck. The alien sunset was particularly beautiful tonight, with both moons rising early and casting silver light across the purple landscape. He wished his grandmother were here to see it. She would have loved the way the light danced on the strange rock formations. Without thinking, he began to hum. It was an old song his grandmother had taught him back on Earth, a simple melody that helped him sleep during thunderstorms. The tune was soft and repetitive, almost like a lullaby. It made him feel less afraid. Down in the security center, Taemin frowned at his displays. "Motion sensors are acting up, getting interference from somewhere." "Check the power grid," Kira ordered, but her attention was focused on the perimeter cameras. Something was moving out there, just beyond clear visual range. Minho continued humming, unaware that his simple song was carrying on the night wind. The melody drifted past the colony's walls and into the alien forest beyond. In the darkness between the trees, something vast and ancient paused in its approach. The interference on the sensors grew stronger. Kira cursed as half her displays flickered and died. "It's jamming us somehow." Taemin switched to backup systems, but the backup systems showed the same interference. Whatever was out there had abilities they hadn't encountered before. The creature seemed to be generating some kind of electromagnetic field that scrambled their technology. There, Taemin pointed to Sector 6. A shadow moved between the mining buildings, larger than anything they had seen. "Got visual confirmation. Moving to intercept." The hunters grabbed their weapons and rushed toward the perimeter. Their armor's night vision revealed a massive shape moving with impossible silence between the equipment. It was studying the mining robots with what looked like curiosity rather than aggression. "Target acquired," Kira whispered into her comm. "Beginning approach." But as they closed in, the creature simply vanished. Not ran, not hid, but seemed to dissolve into the shadows as if it had never been there. The sensors showed nothing. The visual displays were empty. "Where did it go?" Taemin demanded. From the observation deck, Minho stopped humming. He was getting tired and wanted to go back to his room. The moment his voice fell silent, every sensor in the security center exploded back to life. "There!" Kira shouted. The creature was moving again, this time heading directly toward the colony's main buildings. It moved with purpose now, no longer cautious or curious. The hunters opened fire. Energy bolts lit up the night, but the creature seemed to absorb the impacts without slowing. Its hide deflected their most powerful weapons like they were toys. "Impossible," Taemin breathed. "Nothing can withstand that kind of firepower." The creature reached the outer fence and paused. For a moment, it seemed to look directly at the security cameras. In that instant, both hunters got their first clear view of what they were facing. It was massive, easily 4 meters tall, and built like a predator from humanity's worst nightmares. But its eyes showed intelligence, not animal cunning. This was no mindless beast. This was something that thought, planned, and understood exactly what it was dealing with. Then it spoke. Not in words, but in a sound that resonated through the ground and into their bones. A low, complex vocalization that carried meaning they couldn't understand but somehow felt. "A demon," Kira whispered. "A real demon." The creature turned and walked back into the forest, leaving the hunters shaken and the colony's defenses proven worthless. Whatever game it was playing, they were losing badly. 2 days after the failed confrontation, supply shortages forced a dangerous mission to the outer research station. The automated supply drones had all been taken by the creature, leaving the colony dangerously low on medical supplies and food. Preservers Jiwan volunteered for the mission, despite Sunmi's protests. As the colony's senior scientist, he was one of the few people who knew how to operate the research station's backup systems. But he refused to leave Minho behind in the increasingly tense colony. "I'll take 2 security escorts," Jiwan promised. "We'll be back before nightfall." Do-hyun assigned his best men to the mission. Sergeant Woo Jin and Corporal Hyun-woo were experienced soldiers who had served in the Outer Rim conflicts. If anyone could keep the scientists safe, it would be them. The research station sat 20 kilometers from the main colony, built into a natural cave system that provided protection from the planet's severe weather. The journey should have taken 2 hours by ground transport, but their vehicle broke down halfway there. "Engines completely dead," Woo Jin announced after checking under the hood. "Something fried the power coupling. We're not going anywhere in this thing." Hyun-woo scanned the horizon with his weapon scope. "We're in open ground here, no cover for kilometers. If that thing is tracking us, we push forward," Jiwan decided. "The research station has emergency supplies and communication equipment. It's safer than staying exposed out here." They started walking, carrying only essential supplies. Minho stayed close to his father, trying not to show how frightened he was. The alien landscape stretched endlessly around them, beautiful but hostile. Strange rock formations rose like ancient monuments, and the purple grass rustled with movements they couldn't identify. As the sun began to set, they were still 3 kilometers from the research station. The twin moons cast eerie shadows across the landscape, and in the distance they could hear the calls of nocturnal predators beginning their hunt. "There," Hyun-woo pointed to a cluster of rocks ahead. "Emergency shelter. We can hold up there until morning." The shelter was a prefabricated structure designed for situations exactly like this. It had basic life support, emergency rations, and, most importantly, reinforced walls that could stop small arms fire. The 4 of them crowded inside as darkness fell completely. Outside, the alien night came alive with sounds. Things moved through the grass, called to each other across the valleys, and scraped against the rocks with claws or talons. The soldiers took turns on watch while Jiwan tried to contact the colony on their emergency radio. "No response," he reported. "Something's jamming our signal." Minho curled up in the corner, trying to shut out the frightening sounds outside. This wasn't like the colony with its walls and lights and familiar voices. Out here, they were alone with whatever was hunting. In the darkness, a new sound joined the chorus outside, heavy footsteps moving with deliberate slowness around their shelter. The soldiers raised their weapons, but the reinforced walls prevented them from seeing what was approaching. "Multiple contacts," Woo Jin whispered, checking his motion detector. "Big ones, moving in a circle around us." The footsteps stopped. For a long moment, the night was completely silent. Then something scraped against the shelter's outer wall. Long, deliberate scratches that sounded like claws testing the metal's strength. Minho whimpered softly, and his father pulled him close. The boy was trembling with fear, overwhelmed by the alien sounds and the knowledge that they were trapped. Without thinking, he began to hum the song his grandmother had taught him. The simple melody helped calm his racing heart. The scratching stopped. Outside, the other predator sounds faded away as if something had frightened them off. The footsteps resumed, but now they sounded different, less threatening, more curious. "What's happening out there?" Hyun-woo asked. But his motion detector showed only one large contact now, sitting motionless near their shelter. Minho continued humming, the familiar tune helping him feel brave again. His father listened with growing amazement as the night sounds changed completely. Instead of predatory calls and threatening movements, there was a new sound, a deep rhythmic rumbling that seemed to come from the ground itself. "It's purring," Jiwan whispered in disbelief. The sound was unmistakable once he identified it. Something massive was producing a contented purring noise, like a giant cat that had found a warm place to sleep. The threatening atmosphere of the night had transformed into something almost peaceful. "That's impossible," Woo Jin said, but his motion detector confirmed it. The large contact outside their shelter had settled down and wasn't moving aggressively. Whenever Minho paused in his humming, the distant predator sounds would return, howls and growls and the rustle of things moving through the grass. But when he resumed the melody, the purring would start again, and the other sounds would fade. It's protecting us, Jiwon realized. Whatever's out there, it's keeping the other predators away. They spent the night in strange vigil. Minho hummed his grandmother's lullaby while something massive guarded their shelter from the dangers of the alien night. The soldiers took turns watching their instruments, amazed by what they were seeing. As dawn broke, the purring sound faded away. Footsteps moved off into the distance, heavy but somehow gentle. When they finally emerged from the shelter, they found massive prints in the soft earth around their refuge. Each one was over a meter long, with claw marks that could have easily torn through their shelter's walls. But there was no damage to the structure. No signs of aggression, only the prints of something that had spent the night watching over them. The demon, Hyunwoo said quietly. It was the demon that protected us. Minho looked up at his father with wonder. Dad, I think it likes my song. Jiwon knelt down and hugged his son tightly. In all his years of studying alien life, he had never encountered anything like this. The creature the hunters called a demon had shown them mercy, even kindness. Maybe, just maybe, they had been wrong about everything. The journey to the research station took only an hour in the morning light. But the night had changed something fundamental in their understanding. As they gathered the needed supplies, Jiwon found himself thinking about the creature in the forest and the simple song that had bridged two completely different species. He had work to do back at the colony, important work that might save both human and alien lives. When Jiwon and his team returned to the colony, they found preparations underway for what Kira called the final solution. The hunters had convinced Sunmi to authorize an orbital bombardment that would eliminate the creature and everything within a 10-kilometer radius of its last known location. You can't be serious, Jiwon confronted the administrator in her office. You're talking about destroying a potentially intelligent species based on fear. Sunmi looked exhausted. Dark circles under her eyes showed the strain of the past week. Jiwon, I have 200 people depending on me for their safety. This thing has proven it can take our people whenever it wants. I won't risk more lives on your theories. They're not theories anymore, Jiwon said firmly. I have proof. He played the audio recordings from their night at the emergency shelter. The sounds of the creature's protective purring filled the office, followed by Minho's innocent humming. Even Kira, who had been cleaning her weapon in the corner, stopped to listen. Interesting, the hunter admitted, but animals can be trained to respond to sounds. It doesn't prove intelligence. Then explain this, Hyeri said, entering the office with her datapad. She had spent the morning analyzing the recordings with the colony's computer systems. I ran spectral analysis on both the creature's vocalizations and Minho's humming. Look at these patterns. The holographic display showed complex waveforms and mathematical equations. To most people in the room, it looked like random noise. But to the scientists, it told an incredible story. The creature isn't just responding to the humming, Hyeri continued. It's harmonizing with it, creating complementary frequencies that enhance the original melody. That level of musical understanding requires sophisticated cognitive processing. Do-hyun frowned at the data. What does that mean in plain language? It means, Jiwon said slowly, that the creature is trying to communicate with us. The humming triggered a response because it contains mathematical patterns that match this planet's natural harmonic frequencies. Hyeri nodded excitedly. I've been studying this world's ecosystem for 3 years. Everything here is connected by vibration and sound. The rocks, the plant life, even the weather patterns follow harmonic cycles. This creature might be some kind of guardian of that natural balance. A guardian that steals our equipment and takes our people, Taemin pointed out. Or, Jiwon countered, a protector that's trying to understand why we're disrupting its world. Think about it. Our mining equipment tears up the landscape, our vehicles create noise pollution. Our presence might be causing ecological damage we don't even realize. Sunmi rubbed her temples. Even if you're right, how does that help us? We can't abandon the colony. The mining rights alone are worth billions. We don't have to abandon Anything, Hieri said. We need to try actual communication. Minho has already proven it's possible. The meeting was interrupted by an emergency alert. Do-hyun's comm unit crackled with urgent reports from the perimeter teams. Something's happening at the outer fence, all security personnel to stations. They rushed to the security center where the monitors showed an impossible sight. The creature stood openly at the colony's main gate, making no attempt to hide or avoid the cameras. But it wasn't alone. 3 colonists stood beside it, alive and unharmed. The missing security guards from the first attack, along with Minor Boksu, who had vanished 2 days earlier. They walked calmly beside the massive alien form, showing no signs of fear or coercion. My God, Sunmi whispered. They're alive. Over. The comm system. Boksu's voice crackled with static. Colony Control, this is Mining Team 7, requesting permission to approach the gate. Boksu, are you all right? Do-hyun responded. Are you being held against your will? A laugh came through the speakers. Held against my will? This thing saved my life. Pulled me out of a sinkhole that would have killed me for sure. Been taking care of all of us in some kind of cave system deeper in the forest. The security center erupted in confused voices. The creature had taken their people, but not as prisoners. As refugees from dangers they hadn't even known existed. There are things out there that make this guardian look like a house pet, another voice added. It was Sergeant Choi, one of the missing guards. Underground predators, toxic gas vents, unstable terrain. This planet's beautiful, but it's trying to kill us every day. Kira stared at the monitors in disbelief. Everything she thought, she knew about the situation was crumbling. This changes nothing. It's still a Class X predator, still dangerous. To whom? Jiwon asked. It's protected our people and guided them safely home. What if we're the dangerous ones here? Outside the gate, the creature waited patiently while the humans debated. It had brought their missing people home as a gesture of goodwill. Now it would see if these strange new arrivals were capable of wisdom, or if they would choose violence. Minho pushed through the crowd in the security center and approached the main console. Before anyone could stop him, he activated the external speakers and began to hum his grandmother's lullaby. The effect was immediate. The creature's posture relaxed and it began the deep purring sound they had heard at the emergency shelter. On the monitors, they could see it gently lower itself to the ground, making itself appear less threatening. I want to go outside, Minho announced. I want to meet it properly. Absolutely not, Sunmi said. It's too dangerous. It's not dangerous to me, the boy replied with the simple confidence of childhood. It likes my song, and I think it's lonely. Jiwon looked at his son with pride and terror in equal measure. The 8-year-old had formed a connection that could change everything, but the risk was enormous. Let me go with him, he said finally. If this creature really is intelligent, if it really wants peace, then we need to take the first step. Kira moved to block the door. I won't let you risk the boy's life on a theory. Then come with us, Jiwon challenged. Protect us if you must, but give communication a chance before you choose destruction. For a long moment, the hunter stared at the scientist. Her entire career had been built on the certainty that unknown alien species were threats to be eliminated, but the evidence before her was hard to ignore. 5 minutes, she said finally. At the first sign of aggression, we fall back and implement the orbital strike. It wasn't much, but it was a chance. As they prepared to make first contact, Minho continued humming his simple song, building a bridge of sound between 2 worlds that had never met in peace. The colony's main gate opened with a mechanical hiss that seemed unnaturally loud in the tense silence. Minho walked forward first, his small hand in his father's, still humming the gentle melody that had become their bridge between worlds. Behind them, Kira kept her weapon ready but lowered, while Taemin watched from the security center with his finger hovering over the orbital strike controls. The creature waited motionlessly as they approached. Up close, it was even more magnificent than the security cameras had shown. Its hide shifted color slightly in the morning light like oil on water, and its eyes held an ancient intelligence that made Jiwon think of deep forests and older worlds. When they were 10 meters away, Minho stopped humming. The sudden silence stretched between them like a held breath. Then slowly, the creature began to vocalize. Not the threatening roar the hunters expected, but a complex series of tones that harmonized with the boy's remembered melody. "It's singing," Hieri whispered, through the comlink. "It's actually singing with him." Minho giggled and resumed his humming, weaving his simple tune through the creature's more sophisticated harmonies. The sound they created together was beautiful, almost orchestral in its complexity. Other sounds joined them from the forest. Bird-like, calls, wind through the strange rock formations, even the distant rumble of underground streams. The entire planet seemed to be participating in their song. "Incredible," Jiwan breathed. "It's not just communicating with us, it's translating our communication into the planet's natural language." The creature slowly lowered its massive head until it was level with Minho's. The boy reached out without fear and touched the alien being's face. The contact created a visible ripple of bioluminescence across the creature's hide, patterns of light that pulsed in rhythm with their shared melody. Through the comm system, they heard Baksu's voice from beside the creature. "It calls itself, something like Harmony Keeper. Best translation I can manage. Been trying to understand our equipment because it's disrupting the planet's natural resonance." "Disrupting how?" Sunmi asked, her voice tight with concern. "Our mining operations are breaking up underground sound channels," one of the rescued guards explained. "The whole ecosystem depends on these harmonic connections. When we drill in the wrong places, we're essentially deafening parts of the forest." Kira lowered her weapon completely. The military side of her still wanted to maintain caution, but the evidence was overwhelming. "So it was trying to protect its world by removing our equipment." "More than that," Hieri said, her voice filled with wonder as she analyzed the real-time data streaming from her sensors. "It was studying our technology to understand how to minimize the damage. Look at these readings. The areas where our equipment disappeared show improved harmonic stability." The orbital strike authorization device in Taemin's hand began to feel very heavy. Everything they had assumed about the situation was wrong. The creature wasn't a demon or a predator. It was a caretaker trying to protect its world from unintentional harm. But as the first contact moment stretched into peaceful communication, new alarms began sounding from orbit. Kira's comm unit crackled with an incoming message from her ship's automated systems. "Warning, detecting energy buildup from planetary surface. Recommend immediate defensive action." "Energy buildup?" Kira frowned at her readings. "What kind of energy?" The answer came from an unexpected source. The Harmony Keeper's vocalizations shifted to a more urgent tone, and the bioluminescent patterns on its hide began flashing rapidly. Through Baksu, it tried to convey something important. "There are others," Baksu translated with difficulty. "Other ships approaching this system. It can feel their engines through space itself somehow." Do-hyun's voice came through the comm with military precision. "Long-range sensors confirm. 3 ships dropping out of hyperspace at the system's edge. Configuration matches hegemony battlecruisers." The mood changed instantly. The hegemony was humanity's most aggressive expansion faction, known for strip mining entire worlds without regard for indigenous life. If they had detected the mineral wealth of Kepler 442b, they would take it by force. "How long until they arrive?" Sunmi asked. 18 hours at maximum burn, Do-hyun calculated. "We can't evacuate the colony in time." Kira looked at the Harmony Keeper with new understanding. "You knew they were coming. That's why you revealed yourself now." The creature's response came through harmonized tones that somehow conveyed urgency and hope together. Minho translated without fully understanding how he knew the meaning. "It says it can help, but it needs us to work together." "Help how?" Jiwan asked. The Harmony Keeper began a complex vocalization that made the ground beneath their feet vibrate. In response, the planet's magnetic field fluctuated in ways that registered on every sensor in the colony. Space itself seemed to pulse with harmonic energy. "Electromagnetic manipulation," Hieri gasped. "It's using the planet's magnetic field as a communication array. That's how it detected the incoming ships. Can it affect their navigation?" Kira asked, her tactical mind immediately grasping the implications. Through the continuing translation, they learned the truth. The Harmony Keepers species had evolved to work with planetary magnetic fields and gravitational resonances. They could disrupt electronics, alter navigation systems, and even influence hyperspace jump coordinates, but they couldn't do it alone. They needed the cooperation of the planet's newest inhabitants. Our technology and their abilities, Jiwan realized. Together we might be able to defend this world. The next 18 hours transformed the colony from a simple mining operation into the first human-alien collaborative defense system. The Harmony Keeper guided their technicians in modifying the communication arrays to amplify its electromagnetic abilities. In return, human engineering provided precision and focus to the creature's natural talents. Minho became the crucial link in their communication network, his humming providing the harmonic foundation that allowed both species to work together. Other children in the colony learned the melody, creating a chorus that strengthened the connection. When the hegemony ships arrived, they found something unprecedented. Their navigation systems failed at the system's edge, sending them tumbling out of hyperspace into unstable orbits. Their weapons couldn't lock onto targets through the electromagnetic interference. Their communications were jammed by harmonic patterns that seemed to come from the planet itself. "This is Captain Sorim of the Hegemony Vessel Dominator," came the frustrated transmission. "Identify yourself and explain this interference," Sunmi responded with calm authority. "This is Administrator Sunmi of the Kepler 442b colony. You are in violation of established territorial claims and indigenous species protection protocols." "Indigenous species?" The captain's laugh was harsh. "We detect only human settlements." As if in response, the Harmony Keeper's voice joined the transmission. But now it wasn't alone. Across the planet, other members of its species emerged from hiding and added their voices to the harmonic defense. The combined sound created a planetary chorus that resonated through space itself. The effect on the hegemony ships was immediate and decisive. Systems failed throughout their fleet as harmonic frequencies disrupted their electronics at the quantum level. They found themselves dealing with technology that seemed almost magical in its effectiveness. "Impossible," Captain Sorim snarled. "No indigenous species has this level of technological development." "They don't need technology," Kira responded, her voice carrying the authority of someone who had seen wonders across the galaxy. "They are the technology." Faced with a defense they couldn't counter and unable to maintain stable orbits, the hegemony fleet withdrew, but not before sending detailed reports about Kepler 442b back to their command structure. The planet would be marked as protected territory, off limits to aggressive expansion. In the weeks that followed, the colony transformed yet again. Mining operations were redesigned to work in harmony with the planet's natural resonances. The Harmony Keepers shared their knowledge of the ecosystem, helping humans understand how to live as part of the world rather than conquerors of it. Minho grew up as the first human to speak both languages fluently, the language of words and the language of harmony. Other children learned as well, creating a generation that would bridge two species in ways their parents could never imagine. Years later, when Minho had become a young man and established the first interspecies communication center, he would still hum his grandmother's lullaby during the evening harmonization sessions. The simple melody that had once comforted a frightened child had become the foundation for a new kind of civilization. The hunters had called it a demon, but it purred when the human child hummed that song. And in that purring, two worlds found, a harmony that would echo through the galaxy for generations to come.